Good morning, students. We'll start with the transportation in plants. We have already seen the transportation in humans. Okay. Now for plants, they take in simple compounds like carbon dioxide. Okay, and they use it in photosynthesis, and then the energy which is produced is stored in the chlorophyll containing organs, that is leaves. Okay. Now the raw materials which are needed for this, that is building these plant bodies, they are taken up separately. Now for plants, the soil is the nearest and the richest source of raw materials like nitrogen, phosphorus and other minerals. Okay. Now this absorption therefore takes place through the part which is contact in the soil, that is root. Okay. Now there are two things to be remembered. Okay. Now the first thing is, if the distance is between the soil and the organs, that is like leaves and all, is small, then the energy and the raw materials can easily diffuse, okay, to all the parts of the body. But the distances are large, then diffusion is not sufficient to provide this raw materials, that is in big trees and all, okay, and energy in roots. So a proper system of transportation is therefore needed for big trees. Okay, so large distances are there, diffusion will not be sufficient. Small distances it is okay. Now the energy needs differ from the different bodies designs. Okay. Now the plants do not move. We all know that. Okay. So their energy needs is low compared to us. So they have got slow transport systems. Okay. Now these transport system will move the energy which is stored from leaves and the raw materials which is stored in roots. Okay. So we need two pathways now. The first one is that the xylem that moves the water and minerals from the soil to the other parts, and the second is phloem which transports the products of photosynthesis from leaves to different parts of the plants. So two transport systems are needed in the plants. Okay, one from leaves to different parts, and other is from root to different parts. Okay, so we'll study the transport system one by one. First we'll study the transport of water. Now for transport of water, it's mainly done by xylem tissue. Now here there are again two parts. The first part is for small plants. So we'll study first the small plants. Now in small plants, we have studied in 9th standard, xylem is made up of vessels and tracheids. Okay. Now these tracheids of roots, stems and leaves, they are interconnected to form a continuous system. Okay, like this. Okay, I'll show you. See, can you see this? From root, there's a continuous chain like this. Okay. Okay. Now, the root cells are in contact with soil, so they take up the ions and water. Okay. Now, there's a difference in concentration of these ions. So, because of this, diffusion takes place, that is osmosis. So, the root and the soil. Okay. Now, next page. Now, what happens? There is a steady movement of water into the root xylem from the soil, then creating a continuous column of water that is pushed upwards. Okay, but whenever you have got plants which has got heights, big plants, okay, this is not enough. So we'll see for the large plants. Now the large plants, that is the trees. Okay, now here what happens, the water which is lost through stomata, you can see here the water is lost through stomata. Okay, okay, that is replaced by the water from the xylem vessels of the leaves. So here you have got leaves, the xylem vessels of the leaves, they replace this water. In fact, the evaporation of water molecules from the cell, they creates a suction pull. Now you have to imagine that it is there is a straw from here to here, and as the water is lost, it goes on pulling the water up. Okay, it creates a suction pull and it pulls the water up. Okay, so from xylem cells of the root, it reaches the cells of a leaf via a suction. Okay, Now there's a definition of transpiration, the loss of water in form of water vapor from the aerial parts, that is especially the leaves of the plant, is known as transpiration. Now because of this transpiration, okay, there are two things happening. First is absorption and upward movement of water and the minerals dissolved in the roots from roots to leaves. Second thing, it also helps in maintaining the temperature of the plant, that is temperature regulation. So two things happen because of transpiration. You can equate this transpiration with, in case of humans we have got sweating, that is perspiration, something of such sort. Okay. Now this mainly helps in the large plants to pull the water from here to here, but the only thing is during night there should be enough of root pressure. Okay. Now the next is transportation of food and other substances. Now transportation of food, we'll have it from phloem. Okay. So all the metabolic processes, particularly photosynthesis, okay, that are taking place in leaves, that products have to be transformed to other plants, parts of the plant. Now this transport of soluble products of photosynthesis is known as translocation. Okay. Now this occurs via phloem. Okay, so from leaves it is sent to different parts of the plant, that is known as translocation. The other definition which we learned was transpiration. Okay, now besides this, okay, there are other products also like amino acids and other substances which are produced in the plants, which are transported by phloem. Okay, they are specially delivered to the storage organs like roots, fruits, seeds and growing organs. Okay, now we have seen in ninth standard that in xylem we have got sieve tubes and companion cells. Both of them help in upward and downward direction movement. Okay, now the translocation in phloem is achieved by utilizing energy. Okay, so translocation is done specially by ATP. Now ATP is got from sucrose. We have already seen it is also got from glucose. Now here it is got from sucrose. Okay. Now the increase in osmotic pressure in tissues causes the water movement, because more of sucrose, less of water, and water will be moved. Okay. This pressure moves the material from phloem to different tissues which have got less pressure. Okay. Now there's an example given, okay, in your textbook. Suppose you have got a spring sugars stored in root or stem tissue, that has to be transported to different parts of the body which need to grow. That is done through translocation and mainly through ATP and osmotic pressure. Thank you.